Ambassador Nakamura surveyed the grand dining hall aboard the Unity space station with a sense of pride. Representatives from a dozen star systems mingled, a testament to years of careful diplomacy. The centerpiece of the evening was, of course, the food. A culinary olive branch from humanity. The menu was designed to be welcoming, an introduction to Terran cuisine. Lightly seasoned, the chef had assured him. Nakamura smiled, watching as a Xylosian delegate, a being of crystalline elegance, delicately scooped a spoonful of chicken curry. He turned to his Zorgonian counterpart, a towering insectoid named Cathar. "I trust the meal is to your liking, High Commander." Cathar clicked his mandibles in what Nakamura had learned was a sign of contentment. "The textures are intriguing, Ambassador." Suddenly, a shriek echoed across the hall. The Xylosian delegate was flailing, its crystalline form flashing a frantic crimson light. It clutched its throat, or the equivalent thereof, and collapsed. Panic erupted. Another delegate, a small, furry creature from Rigel 7, began hyperventilating, pointing a trembling claw at a bowl of what looked like medium salsa. "Toxin! A chemical agent!" it squeaked, its fur standing on end. Soon half the room was in chaos. Aliens were gagging, gasping, and scrambling away from the buffet tables as if they were laden with explosives. Alarms blared as the station's medical team, a mix of species, rushed in with anti-contaminant gear. They began evacuating the afflicted delegates, their faces a mixture of confusion and horror. Cathar loomed over Nakamura, his usually calm antennae twitching with alarm. "Nakamura! What is this treachery? You have poisoned them! An act of war!" The Zorgonian honor guard raised their plasma lances, the air crackling with energy. Nakamura held up his hands, his diplomatic calm stretched to its absolute limit. "Wait! High Commander, I assure you this is a misunderstanding." A medical officer, a Vulcan-like logician, scanned a sample of the curry with a tricorder. "Ambassador," he said, his voice dangerously level, "this food contains high concentrations of capsaicin, a potent neurotoxin that triggers severe pain and cellular damage in most known species." He paused. "My readings indicate it is lethal to the Xylosian physiology." All eyes, and various other sensory organs, turned to Nakamura. The hum of plasma lances grew louder. Nakamura took a deep breath. This was going to be the most difficult negotiation of his career. "Esteemed delegates, High Commander Cathar," he began, his voice projecting across the now silent hall. "What you have identified as a neurotoxin, we humans call spice. It is not a poison, it is a flavoring." A ripple of disbelief went through the crowd. Cathar took a menacing step forward. "Flavoring? You flavor your food with pain-inducing chemicals?" Nakamura nodded slowly. "Yes, we enjoy it." He gestured to the salsa. "That red paste, it's made from ground-up fruit and a specific plant designed to simulate the sensation of being burned. The curry contains a powder that does something similar." He saw the utter bewilderment on their faces. "Humans have a unique tolerance, you see. We not only survive ingesting this chemical, we actively seek it out. We find the sensation exhilarating." He decided not to mention the endorphin rush, one thing at a time. "It's a form of recreational self-harm, I suppose." The logician medical officer blinked, a rare show of emotion. "You willingly consume a substance that your own biology registers as a threat, purely for pleasure." Nakamura gave a weak smile. "Precisely. And what you experienced tonight was considered mild. On my homeworld, there are entire festivals dedicated to eating plants far, far more potent. We even created a scale to measure it. The Scoville scale. It's a scale of, well, a scale of pain." He could see the gears turning in their alien minds. their concept of humanity being rewritten from fragile diplomats to chemically suicidal maniacs. The Zorgonian honor guard slowly lowered their weapons, not out of peace, but out of a new, profound, and terrified respect. Cathar stared at Nakamura for a long moment, then down at the offending bowl of curry. "You humans," he finally rasped, his mandibles clicking in a new, unfamiliar rhythm, "are utterly insane." Weeks later, a fragile peace had been restored. The Xylosian delegate had recovered, though it now gave all humans a wide berth and communicated exclusively through vidscreen. The official apology had been accepted, along with a detailed biochemical explanation of the human palate. The incident became known as the Great Seasoning Debacle. One evening, High Commander Cathar visited Nakamura in his private quarters. He carried a small, sealed bag. "Ambassador," Cathar began, his tone serious. "My intelligence officers have been studying your culture, specifically this Scoville scale." He placed the bag on the table. It was a brand of Terran snack food. The packaging was bright red and featured a cartoon skull, breathing fire. The words Carolina Reaper potato chips were printed in bold letters. "My top warrior, Grak, wishes to test his mettle," Cathar stated. "He has studied your kind. He believes that what the weak-willed delegates experienced was a failure of spirit, not biology. He claims a Zorgonian warrior can withstand anything a soft-skinned human can." Nakamura felt a cold sweat form on his brow. "High Commander, I really must advise against this. This isn't about willpower. They're rated at over 2 million Scoville units. That's not a food item. It's a chemical weapon in a bag." Cathar was unmoved. "Grak is insistent. It is a matter of honor." With a sigh, Nakamura keyed in the comms to the Zorgonian barracks. "Grak, are you sure about this?" a gravelly voice responded, full of bravado. "The human's fire dust is no match for a Zorgonian's resolve. I will consume the challenge snack and bring honor to my clan." Nakamura watched on a monitor as Grak, a Zorgonian even larger than Cathar, ceremoniously opened the bag. He sniffed it, his antennae recoiling slightly. Then, with a flourish, he tossed a single, reddish-orange chip into his mouth and began to crunch. For a moment there was silence. Grak stood tall, defiant. "See?" his voice boomed. "Nothing. A child's—" He never finished the sentence. His entire body seized. A sound that had never before been heard from a Zorgonian throat. A high-pitched, gargling scream erupted from the comms. Grak began smashing into the walls of his quarters, clawing at his own faceplate and slamming his head against the bulkhead. "It burns! The fire! It consumes my soul!" he shrieked. Cathar watched, his mandibles hanging open in shock. The logician medical officer's voice came over the comms, calm but urgent. "High Commander, your warrior is experiencing catastrophic nervous system failure. The capsaicin is registering on my instruments as a direct plasma burn." On the screen, Grak had managed to activate the emergency fire suppression system, dousing himself in chemical foam while still screaming about ancestral spirits coming to drag him into a fiery abyss. Cathar slowly turned from the monitor to look at Nakamura, who was calmly munching on a plain cracker. A new level of understanding and terror dawned in the High Commander's multifaceted eyes. Humans didn't just eat poison. They had weaponized it, turned it into a snack, and sold it for fun. He made a silent vow to never, ever get into a prank war with a human. And that, my friends, is the story of how humanity's love for a spicy chicken wing nearly started an intergalactic war. It just goes to show you, one species' mild seasoning is another's chemical weapon. Makes you wonder what else we think is normal that would terrify the rest of the galaxy, doesn't it? Thanks for watching, everyone. If you enjoyed this little trip into culinary chaos, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more stories. Stay curious, and maybe stick to salt and pepper when you have guests from off-world. See you next time.